Can you feel the rhythm of 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 the rhythm? See, can you feel the rhythm of 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 the rhythm? What's going on, guys? Bori Afolabi here. If you can't tell by now, it's obvious that I'm talking about rhythm today. So, quickly though, last week I did mention in my video about melody that today I would be talking about structure. That was a mistake, and I've since corrected that. There's a new annotation there that says such. And so if you didn't hear what I talked about last week, go ahead and check out that video. It should be in the same playlist and be able to catch up on what we've been dealing with here. So now let's get right into this. And the definition that I have of rhythm is very simple, and it is movement that is measured, or measured movement. That's a very simple and basic generic one, and it applies to more than just music. But in our case, we're going to focus on how rhythm applies to songwriting, which is what my primary focus is. So in songwriting, rhythm is usually associated with or understood in two different ways. One is with like the vocal or instrumental and the music side, and particularly the timing and the spacing of that. So like if you're saying there was an old woman who lived in a shoe, and you're singing that, that would be a spacing of the da 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 da, right? That would be one example. And then the other one that is associated with is or understood in is the beat or the pulse, like the general pulse of the song itself as a whole. So doom 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 doom, there wasn't a woman who lived in the shoe, right? That'd be the pulse of the song. So those are the kind of the two ways, if you want to split it up. That's how I understand it from my research and my own practice. Okay, now in songwriting, the importance of rhythm in songwriting. It's something that, for a lot of reasons, I think is you can't overlook, because, you know, not to get philosophical here, but rhythm is something that is kind of in life, right? It's the pulse of life. It's everywhere, right? So that's kind of something that you can't really get away from. And as human beings, I guess when it comes to rhythm in songwriting and lyrics, we focus first on the rhythm. And if we want somebody to listen to what we're saying lyrically, it has to work within a rhythmic framework, if that makes sense. Let me put it another way here. Not very good at this. Okay, so the listener only hears the words after retaining how they are sung. Does that make sense? Right? So if you are going to understand what I'm trying to say in some words, you have to understand how they're packaged, or the packaging has to work before you understand what's in it. It has to be appealing. Okay? The second thing is lyrics must be presented in a repeatable way. So if I want someone to go home and remember my song, but the rhythm is not locked in any kind of memorable form, it's unlikely that that song is going to be memorable. I spoke a little bit about this in my previous video, but I didn't get in depth. So, I don't know. Let me see. Best example I could think of is actually a Katy Perry song. Nothing against her. But that California Girl song has a very memorable rhythm, right? Da 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 da, right? Da 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 da. That's something, even if you don't know the lyrics or what you're saying, you still remember that rhythm. So that's one not great example, but that's kind of how I understand it to work. So last thing I want to speak about quickly is when it comes to songwriting, when I do, particularly in this EP, there's a song that I'm working on. The very first thing I talked about in the very first video I did, I was saying, reach back for me, right? And if you listen to that, underneath the long chords are not so long lyrics, and vice versa. So say you're writing a song with long drawn out chords, it usually works to try lyrics and vocals that are not long and drawn out, but that are choppy and short. So you have this kind of contrast in rhythm, and it really helps to highlight one or the other. So that's just a quick tip there. And then the last thing I want to say is, when you're working on your rhythm, don't sacrifice rhythm for any other part of the song. So if you want a line lyrically to work rhythmically, don't how do I put this? Don't sacrifice the lyric for the sake of the rhythm, and vice versa. So just make sure that everything works well. That's why songwriting is a craft. That's why it takes time. That's why it takes a lot of work. Okay, so I hope that helps. I hope you guys can take a little bit out of that. And just a big quick recap here. Present rhythm in a very memorable and repeatable way. That's the biggest thing there. And don't sacrifice one portion of a song for another. So make sure it all works. That's pretty much it for this video. I'm almost at the end. We've got one more video next week, and I will be talking about structure, which kind of ties all these things together. And make sure you tune in then. And in the meantime, go back and look at what I've done in the past, and keep growing, keep writing. All right, take care, guys.